So we're going to go through the Wheel of Life and explain what's what on this diagram. So this diagram is said to have originated in the time of the Buddha. It was a disciple of the Buddha who was asked by the Buddha himself to draw it because people found it so difficult to actually understand samsara, karma, rebirth, and so forth. And so this was a sort of visual and easy way of trying to get the whole picture. But it's entirely symbolic, yeah? And at the moment, these days, it's really only transmitted within the Tibetan tradition, even though it originated in India. So, to explain the Wheel of Life, we'll start at the center and then move outwards step by step. So at the center, there's the hub of the wheel. And in the hub of the wheel, there are three animals representing the three poisons, the three mental poisons that perpetuate existence in samsara. The pig symbolizes ignorance. The cock symbolizes craving and desire. And the snake symbolizes aggression. And they lie at the heart of the whole mechanism that keeps the cycle of rebirth going round and round. Then there's the first circle beyond these three poisons. You'll see that it shows various ghost-like beings sort of feeling their way around. And the idea here is that they are feeling their way to their next rebirth. So this is the Tibetan belief that there is an intermediate state between one life and the next. You probably know that not all Buddhist traditions agree. In Theravada, one is reborn immediately after the previous life. But in Tibetan Buddhism, there's this intermediate state, which is depicted with one background white, one background black, representing good and bad karma. So according to their karma, beings will be reborn in one or other of the realms of samsara appropriately. Then the next widest circle depicts the 6 realms of samsara. And these are the realms or the worlds into which beings are reborn. There are 3 higher realms, the gods at the top, the heavens, the humans, and the demigods. And in the higher realms, suffering is less intense. So they're considered to be more fortunate. And then there are 3 lower realms. Right at the bottom, there's the hells. And then there's animals and hungry ghosts. And in these 3 lower realms, suffering is very intense and an obstacle to spiritual progress. Then round the rim of the wheel, you can see the 12 links of interdependent origination, or dependent arising, depending on your translation, or they're called sometimes the 12 nidanas in Sanskrit. And these are representing the different links in the chain of cause and effect that causes this whole wheel to function. So these 12 links can be shown as a list, but they're actually better depicted in a circle because there's no first cause. Ignorance is link number 1, but ignorance itself is conditioned and caused by and produced by other things. It's not a first cause. So that's why the circle is actually a better way of depicting this. It goes round and round endlessly. Yeah. Now, these 12 links illustrate that nothing happens by chance. Everything comes about from one or several causes. And in practice, this means that our existence is determined. Yeah, it's determined by this whole mechanism of cause and effect, which means that we have very little freedom. Yeah, we talk about freedom of choice, for example. We might imagine we're free to decide things, but according to this model, actually our freedom is extremely limited. So our choices are actually going to be determined by our karmic tendencies, by our cravings, by our aggression, by our ignorance, and so on and so on. So how can we ever break out of this cycle? Well, there are two weak links, the link of ignorance and the link of craving. Ignorance is counteracted by studying and learning and understanding reality better, and craving is counteracted by meditation practice. So basically, both study and meditation are the two key ways that Buddhists use as part of the Buddhist path to free ourselves from samsara, from this endless mechanism that goes round and round and that traps us and which we have very little freedom to change otherwise. And finally, there's Yama, the Lord of Death. That's the big monster that the wheel of life sits in his arms, right? Now, it doesn't mean to say that the Buddhists believe in the existence of a monster like this. He is entirely symbolic of death. He's called the Lord of Death. And what it simply symbolizes is that every single type of being that exists within this wheel of life is subject to death. In other words, everybody, every being will die at one point or another. And of course, that includes the gods in the heavens, and it includes the hell beings. None of these realms are eternal and permanent. They all come to an end when the karma that causes you to be reborn in that realm comes to an end. And so Yama actually symbolizes this quality of impermanence that pervades the whole thing.